Well, welcome, folks, to this edition of the 700 Club. We've got some exciting things for you. But first of all, this lovely lady who's sitting beside me is actually going to go out and repair a car.
In high heels.
High heels and beautiful red dress. Is that what you're going to do?
Hey, anybody can do it in tennis shoes. You got your tennis shoes on.
Well, sure. I mean, you're going to change a tire or something? What are you going to do?
Well, this amazing lady from Philadelphia has opened an all-girls mechanic car clinic with a nail salon right next door, so you can get this is heaven. You can get your car done and your nails done at the same time.
Well, believe me, if you get your nails as dirty and greasy, you'll need a nail salon.
Exactly.
Anyhow,
that's later.
Well, we're looking forward. That's later on this program. Wendy will actually go outside and repair a car.
Well, I will get instruction.
There's
the car.
Wow.
There it is.
Okay. Well, we'll learn how the ladies do it. You know, if you don't know how to, they've got a commercial on, you know. Yeah, of course I knew how to take off what a lug wrench is. And the kid takes out you know, he didn't know what he's doing. But anyhow, okay, I've changed tires. I'm sure you have. All right. Well, President Trump says he wants to give Americans the best Christmas present of all, a major tax cut. The White House is pushing hard to get a tax plan passed through Congress for a stronger economy and higher incomes.
The president talked about his tax plan last night before a big meeting with members of Congress at the White House today. Heather Sells has the story.
The president says his plan to cut taxes will help working Americans by boosting paychecks and growing jobs. He's promising it will put an extra $4,000 a year into the bank accounts of average households.
This is our once-in-a-generation opportunity to revitalize our economy, revive our industry, and renew the American dream.
The president spoke Tuesday night at the Heritage Foundation, a prominent conservative think tank, to build support for his plan in advance of a key Senate budget vote set for this week. He also pitched the plan as a win for business.
We will allow our companies and our manufacturers to expense the full cost of new equipment in the year they buy it. Makes me want to go immediately back into business.
The White House has expended major political muscle in recent weeks to persuade lawmakers, but in a more low-key fashion, hoping to avoid the difficulties and failure so far in the efforts to repeal and replace Obamacare. Still, that effort isn't over. On Tuesday, the top Republican and Democratic senators on the Senate Health Committee hammered out a bipartisan deal to continue federal payments for 2 years to health insurers under Obamacare. Payments the president canceled last week, calling them a bailout for insurance companies.
This agreement avoids chaos.
During the day, the president called it a very good solution that would both calm the markets and give him time to scrap Obamacare once and for all. But last night, he backed off after the deal came under criticism from many in his party, and he said Congress needs to keep working to find an answer.
I continue to believe Congress must find a solution to the Obamacare mess instead of providing bailouts to insurance companies.
For now, the administration's top priority is tax reform. Officials say it's important not just politically, but for the difference it could make in the lives of everyday Americans. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Well, that tax plan is so important, but I tell you, it's going to be tough for Democrats to oppose a tax cut for their people and then go home and ask the voters to vote for them. I mean, they will be so vulnerable, and it seems like to me this is the ideal time for the Republicans to win more seats in the Senate. And Steve Bannon's plan to attack Republicans is frankly just not too smart. And I think that, well, wiser heads need to prevail on that one and put their effort in gaining a more substantial majority in the Senate. Well, in other news, North Korea's nuclear program has been making the headlines, but the North Koreans are also making another serious threat. It's called cyber warfare. John Jessup has that.
That's right, Pat. North Korea has already seen success in the cyber hacking arena, including stealing military plans from other countries. Experts warn governments, including the United States, aren't always as prepared as they should be. And as our national security correspondent Eric Rosales tells us, Pyongyang is using young children to employ their cyber hacking efforts.
South Korea's Joint Chiefs confirm Seoul and military officials here at the Pentagon are currently working on a new war strategy after reports surfaced that North Korea's cyber hackers stole the current plan. A South Korean lawmaker admitted North Korea stole classified military documents, about 235 gigabytes worth of data, from a defense ministry database last September. One apparently included South Korea's so-called decapitation plan to remove dictator Kim Jong-un should war break out. The Pentagon wouldn't comment on reports of the potential breach, but spokesman Colonel Robert Manning told CBN News the United States is ready to fight tonight.
So we remain confident in the bilateral operational plan between us and our partners, the Republic of Korea. The ROK-U.S. alliance remains strong, and as we go forward, those plans are continuously refined.
While those plans appear to be moving forward, experts say cyber defense is going nowhere.
Policymakers, government leaders, even corporate leaders are not adequately recognizing risks that exist.
Cyber analyst John Bambenik says while the world relies on technology, it doesn't keep it secure. He adds governments, including the U.S., often don't act until major hacks take place. Despite first connecting to the World Wide Web in just 2010, North Korea already reportedly possesses a sophisticated force of some 6,000 hackers.
There are training camps and schools that identify talent when they're young and train them in this stuff. In terms of how to compromise networks and how to manipulate people and individuals to compromise their own security.
Experts say leaders start early, looking for kids with promise in areas like math, then putting those young prospects in elite schools. The children undergo rigorous computer training and eventually graduate into the military cyber operation unit. Unlike its nuclear tests, which have led to international sanctions, the North cyber strikes have faced almost no response, even though the United States has come under confirmed attacks. Military brass tell CBN News the U.S. has a broad range of options to deal with North Korea. Right now, that readiness is on full military display with Courageous Channel, an evacuation exercise to get Americans out of South Korea in the event of war or other emergencies. The U.S. and South Korea are also conducting a naval exercise along the Korean peninsula. Pyongyang considers the joint military drills as a rehearsal for an invasion. The North has renewed its threats to launch missiles off the coast of Guam, which is home to major American military bases. The U.S. has already warned that that action could lead to war. Eric Rosales, CBN News, Washington.
Pat, the situation in North Korea seems to escalate day by day.
Well, I want everybody to recognize, I mentioned this on this program some months ago. The NSA is the most sophisticated cyber organization in the world. We have the ability to shut down the command and control of the entire North Korean military, their nuclear forces. We can do that with the facilities we have available. We haven't used them yet, but we should. But the thing that they're doing now is training a whole army, 6,000 at least, young people as cyber hackers. And think what happened to Equifax when they were hacked. Think what happened to Chase Manhattan or Chase Mellon with the hacks. Think what happened to Target stores and other stores when their records are hacked. It is so easy to gain access. Now, cyber war is clearly the way it's going to happen. You see, if your command and control functions are compromised, it means an army can't move. You can't get the supplies. You can't, the command and control that's necessary for the generals to give orders for their battalions to move forward won't happen. The airplanes can't fly. It goes on and on and on. What can happen to the cyber warfare? And the thing that I want to point out that's very interesting right now, Regent University has been able to secure a cyber range, one of the most sophisticated in the entire world, from an Israeli company. And it is now operating at Regent University, where somebody can be trained of what to do if a if a computer installation is hacked, what you do to fight the hack, what you do to defend, and also how you can go on the attack against your enemies. Now, Regent is offering a BS in cybersecurity, a BS in cyber and digital forensics, a Master of Science in cybersecurity, and it's also going to be training cyber specialists. So it's kind of exciting that we've got it right here, that somebody can learn how to operate, because we have this marvelous cyber range that they can actually model an attack. But this is going to be the forefront of warfare in the 21st century. There's no question about it.
It's the future of warfare, definitely, isn't it?
It is. And the Koreans, you don't have to fire a shot. You don't have to blow anybody up. You don't have to drop a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything because it's all secret. It's right underground. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, you know, look what we did to the Iranians. The Israelis and the Americans put together something they call Stuxnet. Mm. And it caused the centrifuges to run overtime and to burn up. Really?
Well, you know, as bad as cyber warfare can be, it's not as bad as nuclear, of course.
Well, you think not, but maybe, yeah, you're right. But it means that modern-day warfare will be conducted at an entirely different level. And so we're training people at Regent University, and I might add, Regent just, I'm trying to think of the word, gained its 11,000 students.
Oh, wow. We were just at 10,000 not too long ago, right. So already at 11,000.
11,000 students. They had a celebration a few days ago in our enrollment management department. So anyhow, now there's something happened in the Middle East. I am a fan of the Kurds. And the United States, you know, I appreciate the president, but he has decided that he's going to stay out of this warfare. Now look, the government of Iraq is pretty much controlled by Iran, and our greatest allies in the Middle East, next to the Israelis, are the Kurds. They have been fighting with our people. They have been bravely fighting against ISIS and other terrorist groups. But yet the government of Iraq has decided it's going to move into Kirkuk to take away the oil fields from the Kurds and to destroy that wonderfully free enclave that the Kurds have established. Now, we need to do something on that. We really, as a nation, must support the Kurds, and we're not doing it. But in the Middle East, Kurds fighters now, they pulled out of a disputed area across north and eastern Iraq, and they've also given up the oil city of Kirkuk after Iraqi forces drove them out. And the Kurdish military appears to have, well, they have bowed to the demands from Iraq's central government to hand over areas outside of the Kurdish regions. And this attack comes after the recent vote of Kurdish independence. Now, it looks like, well, Baghdad and Turkey don't want to have an independent Kurdistan. I think the Kurds need their own country, and it's time we do something as a nation to help the Kurds.
Amen. Amen. And I believe John has another story about Israel. John?
That's right, Wendy. Tell Israel's story to the world. That's the challenge CBN's Gordon Robertson gave Christian journalists meeting in Jerusalem this week. CBN's Chris Mitchell brings us that story.
The Israeli government invited CBN CEO to talk at its Christian Media Summit about the docudrama In Our Hands, The Battle for Jerusalem.
It was all shot Ammunition Hill on location in Jerusalem with Israeli actors. We went above and beyond to make sure it was absolutely accurate.
CBN produced the film in honor of the 50th anniversary of the Six-Day War and the reunification of Jerusalem. It tells the true story behind the battle for the city through the eyes of the paratroopers who fought it. Robertson said last December's UN resolution declaring Israel's possession of eastern Jerusalem illegal underlined the importance of getting the story out.
As a Christian in this room, we need to understand what that really means. That means that some of our holiest sites would be turned over to the Palestinian Authority. As a Christian, I say, no way. Israel has made a huge difference, and that's the story of the 67 war.
Robertson told CBN News it's critical for Christian journalists to tell Israel's story.
I think it's the most important story of our generation. We've literally seen prophecy fulfilled in my lifetime. Can Jerusalem once again be the capital of Israel? Well, that got answered in 1967.
Writer and director Aaron Zimmerman talked about the need for journalists to know history.
Most people will report on the current facts of the Middle East, on Iran, on Syria, on what's going on. A lot of people don't delve into the history, and I think really you need to understand the history in order to get what's going on today.
Robertson's advice to his audience?
Tell Christian journalists, remember Psalm 126. Then they said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. That needs to be our watchword. Let's tell the world the great things the Lord has done for Israel.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thanks, Chris. A timely word. Pat, back to you.
Well, this is the film In Our Hands, the battle for Jerusalem. It has gained tremendous acceptance in the world of moviegoers, and the team up with Fathom has been extremely successful. And this is a tremendous documentary, and it is so realistic you just can't turn away from it. We're offering that to people, by the way, here if you want a copy. You can look at our website to see what's available for it. So it's called In Our Hands. You know, Jesus made this amazing prophecy a couple thousand years ago. He said, Jerusalem will be trodden underfoot of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. I mean, that is a prophecy that has been so stuck in my mind because it's so clear. Jerusalem will be trodden underfoot of the Gentiles. And from 586 BC, under Nebuchadnezzar and all the way through, the Greeks and the Romans and various ones have held control over Jerusalem until the Six-Day War. At that time, the Israelis, for the first time, took control of the capital city when they took East Jerusalem and added it to so-called Western Jerusalem and unified the city, and that became the capital of Israel. Jerusalem will be trodden underfoot of the Gentiles until the times the Gentiles were fulfilled. We're seeing turmoil in the Gentile world like you can't believe right now. Wars and rumors of wars and political upheaval of massive proportions going on. This is what Jesus said is going to happen. The times of the Gentiles are going to be fulfilled when Jerusalem is no longer under the control of the Gentiles. It's under the control of Israel. And I want to tell the United Nations and anybody who wants to listen that God is not going to allow his prophecy to be distorted or frustrated. He said it's going to happen, and it's going to happen.
It's an exciting time to be alive.
It is,
to see this happening.
It is unbelievable. Okay.